Looking on to Venerable Dr. Madhavela Pуннаджи Mahatera is a Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka of the Theravada tradition. He was ordained at the Bhikkhu Training Center, Maharagama, in his 30s. He obtained his training in meditation at the Island Hermitage, Rodandua. He studied modern science and Western medicine in Sri Lanka, and he obtained 2 doctorates while in the United States, one in Western psychology and another in Western philosophy and comparative religion. Venerable Pуннаджи has made an in-depth research into the original teachings of the Buddha, which he thinks is different from all the modern schools of Buddhism, that is Theravada, Mahayana and Vajrayana. This research was not only academic but also experiential. He also did research into the form of Buddhist psychotherapy, which he thinks is the best way to introduce Buddhism to the modern world. Buddhism, in its original form, was not a mere religion of faith and worship, but a psychological technique of growth and evolution of the human consciousness.
The topic today is about the self. There are 3 conditions normally in our mind which the Buddha called Lobha, Dosa and Moha, which is responsible for all the unhappiness, suffering, all the crimes, wars, all the problems in the world. And this is Lobha means the reaction to the pleasant sensation. Dosa is the reaction to the unpleasant sensation. The moha is also a certain reaction to the neutral sensation. We are born with 5 senses: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue and the body. These are 5 senses. And these 5 senses are stimulated by the environment. When light falls on the eye, we begin to see. When sounds come to the ears, we hear. Smells coming to the nose, we smell the smell. When taste coming to the tongue, we taste. When something touches the body, we begin to feel the touch. So that is what happens because we have 5 senses. Now if we didn't have these 5 senses, we would not know anything about the world. That is why a blind person is missing something. A deaf person is missing something. So all this is because of the five senses. But in these five senses, we experience only three kinds of sensations. The pleasant sensation, the unpleasant sensation, and a neutral sensation. A feeling. And when we experience the pleasant sensation, we like it. So that liking is a desire for it. When we experience the unpleasant sensation, we don't like it. And that is the hatred. When we experience a neutral sensation, do we like it or do we dislike it? Now if you look at the white wall, do you begin to like it or do you begin to dislike it? You don't like it or dislike it, but that whiteness only tells you that there is something there. Now there is something there means that there is something existing. It is the existence. And it is the existence that the Buddha called bhava. They use the word bhava to refer to existence or being. Bhava in translation is really being. But modern people who translated for the first time, the British people who came to Sri Lanka and learned Pali and translated, they used the word becoming to translate the word bhava. Why did they use the word becoming instead of being? There is a reason for this. The reason is they didn't know what bhava means. They went and asked the monks. The monks didn't know English. And the British people didn't know Sinhalese, which was the language of those monks. So they had to carry a translator. So the translator somehow gave his own words and tried to describe it. So he thought it is some kind of existence, but there was a philosopher in the West, Plato. When he spoke about the existence of things, he spoke about what happens to things. That means when a thing exists, like we'll take, for example, a piece of ice. A piece of ice will be existing there. But it quickly turns into water. When the temperature rises, it becomes water. And if you heat the water, it becomes water vapor. That means this changes. So although it is existing, it is also changing. Now that is a problem there. Is it a permanent thing or is it an impermanent thing? A piece of ice is impermanent. But at the same time, the scientists will say, whether it is ice or whether it is water or whether it is water vapor, the scientists will say it is H2O. That means it is just one thing. So that means there are two parts to it, or not parts, but two characteristics. One is permanent, the other is impermanent, because it is the same thing which is taking different forms. So to refer to this, the changing part, the philosopher called it's becoming. And the permanent aspect he called being. So there are two aspects, being and becoming. The changing aspect is becoming, and the not changing aspect is being. So when these people who came to translate, they are Westerners who have studied Western philosophy, and they were aware of these two aspects. So he thought, because the Buddha is talking about anicca, which is the impermanence of things, so he can't be talking about being. He must be talking about becoming. That is why he used this word becoming to translate the word bhava. But what the Buddha was talking about is not really becoming. He was talking about being. So things like that have happened to many translations today. And of course the Buddhists, at the beginning they never understood English. But when they studied English, they didn't try to question whether the English translation should be being or becoming. They should simply memorize what the translator used, whatever word he used, because they were simply memorizing the words that the British people used. So even up to today, everyone, even Buddhists writing about Buddhism, they use the word becoming to refer to bhava. So the mistake continues like that. And there are so many other words like that. So the important thing here is, the Buddha is not trying to talk about this distinction here between being and becoming. Bhava simply means the being or existence. Well, when we talk about ourselves, what are we talking about? The important thing that we are talking about is simply this body. When we say, I was born, what are you talking about? You are talking about the birth of the body. If you are talking about your old age or that you are growing old, what are you talking about? You are talking about the body. When someone wants a picture of you, what do? You take a picture of your body. You understand? This is the problem. So whenever we talk about ourselves, we are talking about the body. That's the problem. And we think this body is existing. We are existing in the world, means the body is existing in the world. When someone dies, you say, oh, that person died. Again we are saying that body died. So it is very important to understand that when we are talking about ourselves, or even the government, when they want an identity card or something like that, they want a picture of that body. So when we refer to some person also we say, somebody. Somebody did this. That is, the body is what has been doing something. So we are always thinking of the body. But is this body something that is being or is it becoming? Now you have understood these two words, being and becoming. Is it being or is it becoming? Now that body that is born, if you go and see a just born baby, what do you see there? A baby. And that is what you call an infant, a baby. After about 15 or 16 years, that baby has become something else. And after about 25 years, that baby is now trying to get married also. But is that the same person? the body has changed completely. After 25 years, the body has changed completely. So is that being or is that becoming? It's changing all the time. So that is what is called becoming. And that young man or woman who gets married, after some time begins to grow old, you can begin to get grey hair, wrinkles on the face and all over the body, and maybe the teeth also begin to fall, and so many other things happen, and now it's a different person again. It's a different person. And it's no more like that baby that was born. So these are all changing. But we say that that person it is the same person. But where is the sameness? And you identify that person with the name, and the name is the same. But the body has changed. And that is becoming. But what the Buddha pointed out was, when he used the word bhava, he is not really referring to that. What he called bhava was simply that we are thinking that it is the same person. We are thinking of the being. Although what is going on is that becoming, but we are thinking, I am the same person, and the I is always there. And that I is more in your imagination than what other people see. Now when other people look at you, they are able to see whether you are an old person or a young person or a baby or not. But when you think about yourself, you are still thinking as if you are young. You don't think of yourself as an old person. That means when you are thinking of being and not of becoming. This is the important thing to understand. So it is that being that the Buddha is talking about. How did that being come into being? Now this is why the Buddha points out that there is an important thing to understand, that is that all this starts with this reaction to the sensation. It is starting from that neutral sensation. The neutral sensation that we experience, that only gives us a feeling that there is something there. Now there are these three kinds of sensations, the pleasant, the unpleasant and the neutral. When we experience the pleasant sensation, we like it. When we experience the unpleasant sensation, we don't like it. When we experience the neutral sensation, there is no liking or disliking, but simply the awareness that something is existing. When we begin to think of ourselves, again, what we are really seeing is the neutral sensation within us. Whenever there is a pleasant sensation, we say, oh, it's very pleasant. When it is an unpleasant sensation, we say, oh, it's paining or uncomfortable. But mainly we are thinking of the neutral sensation when we say, I am existing. We are not talking about the pleasant sensation or the unpleasant sensation. We are mainly talking about the neutral sensation. And the neutral sensations makes us feel that we are existing. We are being, not becoming. And we keep in our memory the neutral sensation, and we are thinking we are being here. And the neutral sensation was there. Even as a child, the neutral sensation was there. While growing up, also the neutral sensation was there. And when you are about 25 or even 30, the neutral sensation is there. When you begin to grow old, also the neutral sensation is there. So that neutral sensation is what we see as me or myself. You see? But the neutral sensation is not a permanent thing. That is also coming and going. All sensations come and go. There is nothing permanent about it. But we become attached to that neutral sensation, and it is mainly the neutral sensation that we call ourselves. That's the important thing to understand. And these sensations come and go. Then our attachment to this neutral sensation, we begin to personalize it. It's not just an attachment. That word attachment is not correct. Now some people, there is the word that the Buddha used, that reaction to the sensation, the Buddha called tanha, which is normally translated as craving, again a mistranslation. Craving is a different thing. Now if you begin to get addicted to drugs, then you have a craving for that drug. Now a craving is a thing like that, because the translator thought that tanha must be a craving because it's a thing that you can't let go of, like the drug addict craving for the drug. It's not the craving that the Buddha is talking about. The Buddha is talking about the reaction to the sensation. And that reaction is an emotional reaction. It's an emotional reaction to the sensation. The desire is an emotional reaction. The hatred is an emotional reaction. In the same way, even the neutral sensation which makes you feel that there is something existing is also an emotional reaction. Which you begin to personalize. Personalize is to say, this is mine. To personalize is to say, this is mine. Now, say if you want to buy a pen or something like that, you go to the shop and they might say, we can personalize this for you. What does that mean? They can put your name on that. That means to say this is mine. So the word personalize means to say this is mine. It becomes personal property. Personal property means your own property. So to personalize is to say this is mine. So that sensation has been personalized. That is the meaning of the word upadana. Today translated as grasping or clinging or attachment. But those words don't convey the meaning properly. That's why I use this word personalize. To say personalize is to identify that as yours. So because you begin to personalize this sensation, you come into being. You have come into being because you have been personalizing this sensation. I told you it is mainly personalizing that neutral sensation that you have come into being. You come into existence. So that being, it is not becoming. You come into being. That you have come into being. That being is the bhava. So upadana leads to bhava. That means the personalizing leads to your being. Your personalizing leads to your being. And when you think of your being, you are thinking you are existing. You are thinking not only of your existence now, you are also thinking of your existence in the past. I was existing yesterday. I was existing even the day before yesterday. Or I was existing last month. Or last week. Or I was existing even last year. So all this is going to the past. And if you go on like that, where do you end? You go to the past and you end up at birth. This is my birthday. Before my birth I don't know whether I existed or not. But at least I know that up to the birth I was there. You don't even remember anything, but still you think because other people are also being born, so I must also have been born. At least my mother told me I was born, or my father told me I was born. So that is, and I have a birth certificate also. So that means I was born. So that is the past. But if you go to the future, then you are thinking of your death, ultimately, end up in death. So you begin to have not only an existence in the present, you are also having an existence in the past and the future. So once you have come into existence or being, you are also thinking of birth and death. You are thinking of a birth and you are also thinking of a death. Because you think you are existing. But actually, the sensations are things that just come and go. They are not things that keep on existing. But we have created an illusion of existence, an illusion of being. And it is because we are thinking that we are existing that we become frightened. Oh, I might die. Your fear of death. Because if you are not existing, then there is nothing to worry about death. If you are not existing, you can't die. How can you die if you are not existing? It is because you are existing that you can die. And it is because you are existing that you are born also. Otherwise you can't be born. Because no you to be born. You understand? So this is the whole problem. That we think we are existing, and because we think we are existing, we are also thinking of a birth and a death. And by doing that, we suffer as a result. Because we don't like to grow old. But of course, birth, at least the Westerners have taught us that you can be happy that you are born. So you have birthdays. Your birthday celebration is because you are saying that you are happy that you are born. And not only that, if you are a Christian, you will also thank God for producing you, because you begin to believe that it was God who produced you. But as Buddhists, you don't have to be thanking a God, because as Buddhists, you don't believe that you were created by a God. If you want to thank, you will have to thank your father and mother. That is the only people you will have to thank. If you think to be born is a good thing. But even to be born, you have to first exist. But if you don't know whether you are really existing, or being, then you don't have to thank anyone. Actually, if you look at it from this point of view, even if you are born to suffer. Because if you are existing to suffer. Because of this idea of existence, you are suffering because you begin to grow old, fall sick and die, which you don't like. Now, if you are not existing, then you don't have to worry about growing old or falling sick or even dying. You see? So this is a very important thing to understand. So this is why the Buddha pointed out that if you want to be free from death, the only way is to understand that you are not really existing. There is no real being. And everything is just coming and going. All sensations are things that come and go. And how does it come? Because you are having these five senses. If you didn't have the five senses, there will be no sensations. And if you don't have sensations, then you don't have that neutral sensation to call yourself. So the sensation has to be there, but that is not all. The environment has to stimulate the senses. If the environment will stimulate the senses, then there is no sensation. So the sensation is a result of having the sense organ and also the stimulation from the environment. Light falling on the eye, or sounds coming to the ears, or smells coming to the nose, or taste coming to the tongue, and the touch coming to the body. So it's very important to understand that when you go to think in this way, you begin to understand that there is no self to talk about. And if there is no self to talk about, can you be selfish? We are all the time selfish, thinking of ourselves and worrying, I didn't have that, I don't get this, someone did this to me, insulted me, or all kinds of things. All the worries come from this self. If you didn't have a self, then there is nothing to worry about. There is no unhappiness. And we are not only thinking of our own existence, we are also thinking of the existence of other people. Maybe your mother, or maybe your father, or maybe your wife or husband, or maybe your children, or maybe your friends, or maybe you are thinking of the existence of your country, or you are thinking of the existence of the world, or this planet Earth. And by thinking that you are existing, you also become attached to these things. So the self becoming attached to the objects outside. So the object outside is existing and you are existing. So there are two things, the subject and the object. The subject and the object becomes attached. There you have two things. So you can talk about attachment when there are two things. But these are all really illusions. There is no real existence here. Either the thing outside or the thing inside. Inside you are thinking of a self, outside you are thinking of some other object. They are all ultimately creations of this process of perception. What is called perception is the seeing, the hearing, the smelling, the tasting, the touching, thinking. And if we didn't have this thing called perception, then there is nothing to talk about. Now, we are talking about something I don't have the time to go into detailed explanation of what is called the Pancha Khanda, which is today translated as the five aggregates. The Khanda is better translation for the Khanda is not aggregate. Aggregate doesn't convey the meaning. A khanda is something like a lot. Lot. You know the word lot. You can even talk about lots of things, or lot is a collection of things. A heap, a khanda is like a heap of things. But here the word heap is being used as a collection of what? Of memories of perceptions. You perceive and you remember what you perceived yesterday, and you remember what you perceived the day before, or maybe the month before, or even the year before. And a perception is a thing that is just happening in one instant. It comes and goes. When you look at this side, you see one, that is one perception. You turn this way, you see another perception. So every moment is a new perception. But you collect all these perceptions together, and that is how you have a thing called a memory. One perception is related to the other perception. Through association of ideas, you have a thing called memory. And so, you think of a past, a present, and a future. All because of the collection of these memories. The future, of course, is all in your imagination. It has not even occurred or happened. So all this is simply a collection of perceptions. If we didn't collect the perceptions, we will have no memory. And if there is no memory, we can't talk about a past or a present or even a future. You see, all made up in this process called perception. And these are the 5 khandhas. Khandha is simply the lots or the collections of memory. So, the important thing is to understand that if you think properly on this, you begin to understand that there is no self to talk about. And if there is no self to talk about, there is nothing to worry about. All unhappiness, all problems disappear. All problems come from this thought, I am, I exist, I am being. So this is the teaching of the Buddha. If you understood this much that we just discussed, you may be by now you may be an Arahant or a Buddha. But why are you not Arahant? Because we have 2 parts in our mind, the thinking part and the emotional part. It is that emotional part that is preventing you from becoming an Arahant. Emotions are blind and irrational. The thinking part is aware of the world and reality of things. So it is the thinking part that went into this whole discussion, and you have understood also because of the thinking part. But the emotional part is not going to accept that. Although the thinking part has accepted, the emotional part doesn't accept it. So this is why you have to first get rid of the emotional part and then look at this. Then you'll understand. So that is why we need what is called samatha bhavana and vipassana bhavana. Samatha is to get rid of the emotional part, and vipassana is to look into this through your thinking part. And then you'll understand and become an Arahant or a Buddha. That is the difference. But you cannot get rid of the emotional part if you don't gain control over your behavior. First you have to start controlling your behavior, which is to be carried away by your emotions. Your behavior is simply you are expressing your emotions. You have to stop expressing the emotion. So, if you want to stop expressing your emotion, that is called sila. Sila means to stop expressing your emotions. Stop getting angry and using bad words and going and quarreling, fighting with people. You have to stop that. And not only anger, your greed, your desire, passion, lust, all that you do with those emotions have to be stopped first. That is sila. After that only you can stop the emotional excitement. And that is called samadhi. And then you have to use your intelligence and understand this properly. And that is panya. So the path is clearly stated by the Buddha, Sila, Samadhi, Panya. But you can't start the Sila till you have Sammaditthi. You have to understand properly your problem and its solution. It's only then that you can really understand. And when you have understood only, you will begin to practice the Sila and then the Samadhi and then the Panya. So I think that is enough for the day.